So all this happened just because of the Atlanta meeting. And I appreciate you guys because y'all have been one awesome group. So Momentum Federal Solutions helps with all the onboarding process for anything federal, breaking into the marketplace. Most businesses never do. And this is going to show you how to do it the right way. I was in the hospital for a long time, or not a long time, but often throughout a couple of years there where I was just, I was bleeding from my face from stress. This is where federal changed my life because now these same $100,000 jobs that we're talking about take 2 to 3 weeks max. We're talking zero pushback on pricing. You're getting paid because the government is evergreen. There is not enough people out there to do this work. But my takeaway from this, which was better than money, in my opinion, is work less, make more, but I get to be with my family. I get to travel. I get to enjoy my life. I get to not be that ball of stress that's sick in the hospital, throwing up every day. I used to throw up 3 times a day. And we exist to protect the government. That is our job. When everybody else fails, we do not. End of story. There is no negotiation. If there's a loss, it's your fault, you eat it. If there's a win, it's your fault, you eat it. Our job is not to maximize profit. Our job is to do the right thing, the right way, for the right reasons. The money follows that. The federal government is the largest buyer in the world. They spend $700 billion annually, okay? And again, we're not talking about these red tape inspections that are all crazy and the city comes out and inspects you. No, they're not going to inspect you. Most businesses fail before they start, but again, we're going to go into that. It just all comes down to compliance. This is not just theory, guys. This is pain, okay? Everything I'm teaching you or going over today is pain. I've lost hundreds of thousands of dollars doing this. Really, realistically, I should have gone out of business like 2 or 3 times doing this. The only reason we did make it is because I'm relentless. I will not stop. I am eternally hungry, and as much as it is a blessing, it's a curse. It's how I started and ended up getting into this world where, again, I'm aggressive, so we're bidding on everything. Electrical, drywall, plumbing. You do not exist without registration. You cannot bid on federal without having a prime status, which is your cage code and your DUNS number. Okay. Now, if you have a designator such as SDV, OSB, which is what we are, Service Disabled Veteran Owned, you now have a $37.5 billion set aside. Louisiana had a huge thing. It was $10 to $20 million. It took them about 2.5 years to award that because the vetting process was crazy. But imagine that. Imagine a long contract like that and how life-changing that would be, knowing the numbers that I just told you about. Bonding. Okay, this is one of the hang-ups for everybody because this is one of the hardest parts of federal construction. EMR rate, experience modification rate, all right? If you've had issues with OSHA, you had violations, I'm telling you, if you have multiples, you're going to get scrutinized because that's part of the weight of your actual bid score. You don't win just on price alone. They want to award you on price alone, but they look at your EMR rating. They look at your insurance. So one thing that we really push is perception is reality. All right. So part of our culture, and again, we had to build this into our culture, is if you see something, say something, you call it out. We can't live sloppily in our office because it bleeds into what we do with our bids, our life, and everything, which comes down to even the people you're hiring. So one thing that we're building to make this easier, because this is one of the bigger pain points, and I had this conversation yesterday with another gentleman, was how do I know where to look? The truth is you just don't. Okay, there's thousands of sites out there. And do you really want to look through all of them? Every morning I jump on the treadmill for about an hour and a half. Within that hour and a half, I try to locate at least 3 to 5 jobs that I'm interested in. Because realistically, if I put 15 on the board in a month, I'm not going to even bid on all 15. And that's what ties up the bonding capacity. So it all starts playing hand in hand, which is why cash is king here. So what I do as a best practice is if it does have less information and I know I can get a change order out of it, I will absolutely bid on that project to win that project and then change order it later. Yes, correct. Government a little bit backwards because after you get the change order, you have no competition. When I walked through that building, I saw that on the plans, it only had 20% listed as asbestos. And I'm like, this is like 95% asbestos just from the walkthrough alone. Realistically, it's not my fault you didn't do your job. Because at this point, as being a prime contractor, in my opinion, we're glorified babysitters that have to remain professional no matter what. End of story. So success in federal contract it's not random. It's a process. Again, you saw the numbers, 85 to 90% never win a contract. Why? Because of all of this that we just went through. And that wasn't even all of it. Yeah, I mean, I know people who find SDV OSBs and they'll give them 10 grand a month and the SDV OSB sits at home. They were never a part of the company, never did a damn thing. They just sat there and made the company made even more off of it. You see what I mean? There's so much even in the bid itself. If I taught a module on the bid, just the actual proposal, that would probably be a 3-hour course. Seriously. There's so much involved in it. There's so many little things. The calculation alone is gold, but people just don't understand what they're doing. But there's a lot of different ways to build your profit into your draw schedule. So what we do is we map it out and we chop it up as if we're going through the full simulation before we even get to the end of the project to make sure we're profitable.
She was a minority. She was a female. She had massive contracts like entire airports, huge government buildings. They were living in a $3 million house that's probably $10 million now. And she did that all off government commercial cleaning contracts. But the point of that is when the girl I was dating was in high school, she was cleaning houses with her mom after school. That's how small they were and how big they got. It was all off that.
7 years ago, someone reached out to me and they're like, hey, GSA contracts, there's so much percentage that's got to be allocated to small business. And I decided to go ahead and listen to the phone call. And they said it was $6,000. Looking back right now, it seemed $6,000 was a risk to me 7 years ago. Now I'm looking at it, I'm like, holy crap, it wasn't even hardly anything. But they said, hey, we get it done in 6 months, 5 years. It's a 5-year contract. You're automatically awarded. You don't have to get on the bid cycle, and we help you get set up. If you don't make your $6,000 back, we will refund your money. It took the risk out of the way. And I said, I'm in.